So as everything is changing, do you reckon there are any kind of key pitfalls to watch out for when you're designing space, or something that you think is going to be a core concern in the future that isn't quite being addressed yet?
So I'd say really beyond the usage levels, I think, and being confident on that. Again, dealing with the levels of tech and different generations in the workforce, I think there are still problems with that. Also, that depends on how much training you can give. There are always going to be people who struggle and find it hard to get on board with any new digital platforms or even just shared technology put in place, be it docking stations, how to use things in meeting rooms. We can't just expect everyone to get used to it at the same time. So you do have to deal with an extra level of learning and development as well as the behavioural change, I think, to deal with more agile shared workspaces. And then I guess communication sort of comes into that as well. Just making sure that the platforms are, reduced down. Don't just use every single communication platform under the sun, from WhatsApp all the way through to Teams, via email, via text messages. I think those are the main sort that come out at the moment that we haven't already sort of focused on already in terms of spatially and usage that I can think of.
We often find when we're kind of talking to people about hybrid, there's so many things to consider that, like saying we want this space to be all of this, but then there's so many things to consider that you kind of have to walk people through a process of, if this knocks down this, how are you going to understand the impact of it? Have you considered what's going to happen, like if the change isn't what you wanted it to be? And it's, like I said before, there's so many features to juggle that we kind of have to really help people fully understand what's going on in their workplace to begin with. And there's, like, looking at now post-COVID, so many different kind of new factors which we hadn't before, like air quality and keeping people safe, like well-being being something that workplace data can actually now impact, is very new. It's not particularly like out there yet that the air quality is one of the best ways to actually boost productivity as well and keep people safe from COVID. So there's a lot of new features or new aspects for the workplace we are struggling to keep up with as they come out. There's so many changes occurring on a weekly basis in the workplace.
There is that. Yeah, no, I agree. There are so many facets to focus on, to get right. And the question is, do you try and address every single one of them in a new workplace design? Do you just focus on one main one or a few and get those absolutely right? Obviously, you have to go through the decision process of what they are first. But yes, you're right. You could measure absolutely everything from CO2 levels, temperature, utilisation, when's the coffee machine running out, how much paper's in the printer. And then it depends on how much information you then give the employee of all of those things as well, and then the repercussions of them knowing that as well. So it is, on one hand, good to know that meeting room that 10 people have been in now has a very high level of CO2 in it, and you might want to open the window, open the doors, and let that dissipate. Is it good to know that, or is it just good for the facilities team to know that, to then deal with that? So then there are also then levels of anxiety that may also occur if everyone is given all the data, if everything is being measured at the same time as well.
There's a fine line to kind of walk with all these things, and it's probably going to link back to those guiding principles. There's always the thing that you can't really change what you don't know, and if you're armed with more data and more information, you can then start to think about things on a bigger scale, or more. You can start to see things through time that you couldn't previously as well. And at the moment with hybrid, is going to be changing week by week, really. Like seasonally, it's probably going to be a big thing, with depending on how COVID goes, or even just with how much people want to leave their home in summer when it's nice and warm.
I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people have already witnessed, horrible rainy days of a winter, and just reducing the amount of times they want to leave the house normally, let alone go to the office or not. But yeah, I heartily agree. I've always been a fan, obviously, of sensors, whether it's for utilisation or environment. And I've said it before in one of the blogs about, imagine driving a car without a dashboard where you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And yet we're trying to operate buildings full of people, of what we call offices. And if you don't actually know what's going on, how do you expect to, keep it running well?